figure on the shore. She thought her husband had been rescued and abandoned her. Laura could not believe this. She didn't understand why her husband hadn't returned to rescue her. But at this point, thinking about it was useless. She had fallen into endless despair. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. As Laura was thinking about how to survive, she suddenly heard something moving outside. When she went outside, found that it was her husband dragging his injured body back. It turned out that after the dinghy ran out of fuel, the wind had blown him to the other side of the island to find his wife. He walked for 5 days over mountains and rivers, and finally returned to the abandoned base. But because he had suffered from cold and hunger on the journey, he caught a chill and became bedridden. Now his wife not only had to find food to fill her stomach, but she also had to take care of her sick husband. After another month passed, the wife suddenly made a bold decision. She would leave her husband here and go alone to explore the surroundings of the island, trying to find any signs of human activity. So Laura packed her backpack and resolutely set off on the path to survival. She thought that with her faith she would definitely be rescued, but to her surprise, after walking for several days, she found no signs of human activity at all. Laura was completely desperate. Her heart felt like a barren desert, with all hope vanishing like a mirage. Just as she was about to give up, she saw a red research station by the sea. Laura hurriedly walked over to it, but when she got close, found that no one had lived there for a long time. But in order to survive, she pried open the door and rushed inside. She then hurriedly opened the cabinet, and when she found some vegetarian crackers inside, Laura quickly opened them and stuffed them into her mouth. It was the most delicious food she had eaten in months. After eating and drinking, she quickly changed into clean clothes, and then tried to start the generator outside. Fortunately, there was no malfunction, and it powered up successfully. The next morning, curious, she opened the nearby container, only to discover a small boat inside. Without time to think, Laura hurriedly pulled the boat out, so that if a passing ship were to be seen, she could use the boat to seek help. Although she now had a perfect place to stay, she still couldn't sleep well at night. Looking at the small boat outside, her heart remained uneasy. The next morning, she quickly packed her things, and then sailed the small boat out to sea. Her husband was still waiting for her at the abandoned base, but since her husband had been bedridden when she left, she wasn't sure if he was still alive. After nightfall, Laura finally arrived at the abandoned base, but after searching for a while, she couldn't find her husband. Just as she was about to leave in despair, she finally found her husband motionless under a piece of tin. Laura collapsed in grief. If it hadn't been for her selfish decision to leave, her husband wouldn't have ended up like this. But just as she was filled with self-blame, she suddenly realized that her husband was still breathing. After several hours of effort, Laura finally managed to bring her husband back to the research station. She carefully dragged him into the room, and under her care his condition gradually improved. In less than a month, he was able to get up and move around. This made Laura incredibly happy. With her husband's company, she no longer had to endure loneliness. As time passed, her husband's health continued to recover. One day, as Laura was preparing dinner, she suddenly heard something outside. When she looked outside, she saw that the research station's cruise ship was slowly docking.